Hello, and welcome to the final episode of the creation of Mute Chaos. I'm Willow Mute Chaos Bridges, your host and subject of this mini series, where together we delved into the creation of my online persona, how I came into the position that I'm currently situated in, while also touching on what goes into what I do, what I know, and more. So, let's get into the final episode of this mini series. This episode, we'll be talking about how to move forward. How do you plan on moving forward for your future? How do you protect what you want for your future? How do you kind of make that avenue, the path, the foreseeable future, your goals? How do you do it? So I, for one, I'm in that process right now. I plan on going back to school for another 2 years for esports so I can further my knowledge on the industry. Because, like I've mentioned before, I came into this not knowing a single thing. I never played competitive video games, never even played ranked up until like the drop of BO6 whenever they dropped ranked. Like that was the first time I even touched a video game of that caliber in like 8+ years. So that's how it all happened. So yeah, I plan on going back to school, and you might be the same way. You might get into this being like, I want more knowledge of the industry. I want to be able to be like, here's a piece of paper that shows, I did all this, and these are the programs I took, and this is what I know, and this is what I can bring to the table. I know that's why I'm doing it, so I can be like, hey, look, I have a piece of paper that says I can kind of understand what is going on. And yeah, you really have to plan for a future that you might not even get. Like, I might go into this being like, yes, I want to go cast for, like CDL, whatever, knowing that that might not be an option down the long run. I might stick to collegiate esports. Who really knows? Overall, it's fun and terrifying. So, those are two things that you have to accept. You have to accept that it's going to be terrifying and that it might not happen. So, how do you plan for that? How do you plan for something that might not happen? You set goals. You set realistic goals. So, for me, I want to finish casting this semester. I want to go back to school for it and continue casting through those years. I want to find those connections, connect maybe with other schools and other institutes with their casters or their players just to get, further connections in this industry. Then you kind of start reaching out more. You start connecting with casters outside of collegiate esports. You start connecting with other players outside of collegiate esports. Go into, for Call of Duty, for instance, go into challengers. Just make those connections. Make those plans. Make those short-term goals, the medium-term goals, and the long-term goals. Make your SMART goals and make them to points where you can achieve them. Obviously, I got my job again, so that's my short-term goal, one of them, completed. I want to become a better caster. I'm in the process of doing that. Who knows how long that's going to take. I'm literally looking at my goals for 2025 right now. I want to grow my socials because that's one place that, this industry looks at. I want to increase my grades so that I can go, hey, look, I did well in this program. I can, I understood it and I can bring forth this knowledge to the table. I can back my stuff. And obviously, this little thing, deal no shit, take no shit. Be careful with who you befriend. Work and befriend people and talk the way that you want to be perceived. Obviously, not everyone is going to see you that way. I learned that one the hard way not too long ago. You're not going to please everyone. That's just how it is. Some people are going to talk some shit. Some people are going to make false, accusations, whatever you want to call it. False personas. I got labeled as toxic and that I want to ruin some teams. It happens. Deep down, I know that's not the case. I know I've been nothing but, hopefully nice. And I've been very honest. If I talk shit, I'm going to say it to your face. That's just how that works. That's how it should work. So, how do you go about protecting your future when you have instances like that? Well, for me, I cut those people out. I went, all right, goodbye then. If that's how you see me, then I'm going to, remove myself from the situation and just focus on myself. Obviously, people say don't burn bridges. Sometimes bridges have to be burned if you want to protect yourself in your future. Sometimes bridges it just has to happen. Obviously, you can reconnect in the future and have a whole conversation like adults and figure stuff out. You have to protect yourself. Obviously, this industry, just like radio, is very, very small. It's tight knit. You have to be careful and you have to showcase yourself in a respectful and professional way. Like I mentioned before, keep your private and professional stuff, your work stuff, separate. Don't bring the two together. Trust me, even in collegiate esports, be careful with what you say, how you act, who you try to befriend, who you try to get with, even. Keep it all separated. Honestly, that's one of the best ways you are going to protect yourself in your future. Same with your goals. That's the best way to protect those, because obviously, if you make goals, sometimes stuff happens that completely messes it up. It's how it is. It gets messed up. Everything goes off the rails. It's up to you to get them back on the rails. It's no one else's. I recently just had a, conversation with some of my friends being like, you know what? I got in this situation. Any situation forward, I don't want anyone dipping their fingers in. I don't want anyone, trying to step in for whatever. You can have my back because I got yours, but don't stick your fingers in it, because that is a situation that I've been experiencing is, too many fingers in the pot, get them out. Too many chefs in the kitchen, get out. Protect yourself and protect your safe space is the best way you're gonna, protect your future. Make those goals. Write your goals down. Write what you want your future to be on a piece of paper, on a little bulletin board. Make a little storyboard even of what your future, what you want it to be. Just make it something that you could go back to. Say you get in a tough spot where you're doubting yourself, or you're not sure if you're going to make it. Go back to that piece of paper, wherever you put it, look at it, and remind yourself that this is something that you want to do. It's going to be tough. You're going to go through rough situations, but it's life. Unfortunately, life is shitty. Life will f over, but it's just how it goes. So that's just the best thing you can do. Just remind yourself of where you want to be, write it down, go back to it every so often, add to it, mark things off if you completed them. If you completed goals, cross them off. Write a little, happy little message to yourself saying that you're proud of what you've done, what you've learned from it, whatever it is to keep you going. That is one of the best ways you are going to plan for your future and moving forward in your career. It's the best bit of advice I can give you. Is what I'm doing for myself. My little goal for 2025 is sitting on my wall behind my PC, which is where I sit quite often. I see it every day. I look at it every day. And I remind myself, this is something that I want to do. I want to complete these goals, because if not, there's no point to it. So, make your goals, make them realistic, protect yourself, because protecting yourself is going to protect your future. Grow your goals, grow yourself, make those connections, but be careful in how you do it, and separate your professional and personal life. It's the best thing I can tell you, the best piece of advice. And hopefully, maybe one day we'll be working together, or something that I said will push you to, reach those goals that you want to. And yeah, I actually enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would, the creation of Mute Chaos. We've gone a little off the rails a couple episodes, some were short, some were longer, but I hope you enjoyed this mini-series, because I know I did. Hopefully you take something away from it. Maybe you get inspired, maybe you realize, like, okay, maybe this is not something I want to do, and, that's okay to realize that, somewhere down the line you're like, this isn't something I want to do. For all I know, that could happen to me. But until then, I'm going to keep pushing forward, and I'm going to keep growing myself and reaching those goals and making goals and just putting myself and my future first, because that is ultimately what you need to do. And I want to thank you for sticking out for these last, 6 or so plus episodes of this mini series. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for listening along to the creation of Mute Chaos with Willow Mute Chaos Bridges.